Over the period of a week in late July, I got to take a 2,800-mile trip across Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, and Arkansas, and got to hit some of the most beautiful highlights available for riding in these states. Come with me as I share with you my motorcycle touring adventure across the western southern states. This trip started like any other, leaving out of Alexander City on Highway 22. My goal for tonight was to get to Ocean Springs, Mississippi, where I had a hotel room waiting on me. It had just rained. The air was still pretty humid, but it was cooler, which was a welcome respite from the July summer heat. I had left in the evening after work and was trying to get to Ocean Springs, Mississippi before it got terribly late. I settled in for a nice long evening ride and watched the miles tick away. Well, it was a long haul to get here, but I got here. I'm settled in. I'm down in Moss Point, Mississippi, around the Pascagoula area, around the Ocean Springs area. I actually had to think about that for a moment. But I've had a long day. I didn't get to leave until a little bit later than I'd wanted to, but got settled in over here. I'm going to catch some Z's, and then we'll be back out of here in the morning. So this is the first leg of our trip, which takes us, like I said, to from Alex City to about Mississippi, Ocean Springs or so. Tomorrow is going to be a long day, quite a few hours in the saddle. Be trying to make it from here all the way out to Kerrville, Texas. So stay tuned. I guess we'll see you in the morning. Well guys, I am up and dressed, got breakfast on board. We're going to be getting on the bike, packing it up here in a minute, and we'll be on our way. Like I said earlier, we're going from here in Ocean Springs, Mississippi, hoping to get out to Kerrville, Texas today. It's going to be a long day in the saddle, but I'm up for it. Let's go. After several hours of hard riding, I was stiff and stove up and desperately needed a break. So I took advantage of a rest stop I found along the way, pulled over, got off the bike, stretched my legs, and kind of enjoyed the open air. It was nice and breezy out here, and the view was absolutely spectacular, even from my lower vantage point. I had logged many miles and many hours in the saddle. I knew this was going to be a long day. I had prepared for it, but it was a long day nonetheless. But after many hours and many miles, I was here. I had made it. My initial destination, the whole reason why I took this trip. The Texas Hill Country.
held on tight, but it felt so long. Tell me, where did we go wrong? When you're in the sun and I'm lost in the shade, then who's supposed to lead the way? The home that you built, the sweetness in my veins, we could survive on what remains. You were the one, we had nothing to fear. What we had should still be there.
After the long haul it took to get to Kerrville, I was exhausted, sweaty, and badly in need of rest. I really didn't mess about. I got what I needed off the bike and turned in for a very restful night of sleep. The next morning I got up, got breakfast, and got ready to go. My goal for today was to ride the Three Twisted Sisters, and I was up relatively early in order to beat the heat of the day. But before I left town to go ride that iconic ride, there was something I needed to do first. Back on July 4th of 2025, the year that I took this ride, the flood that made national news, this 100-year flood that was so catastrophic to the Texas Hill Country, happened. I had taken this ride in late July, and hearing the news had affected me deeply. As a father, I felt very strongly about the loss of life, especially the loss of such small children in this catastrophic flood. I felt like I had to go around and see for myself the town of Kerrville and to see just what had happened in this area. Much of Kerrville was closed off due to the recovery efforts that were still ongoing at the time of the recording of this video. However, the damage, you couldn't miss the damage that occurred there in the town. And I took a quick ride around town to see what I could see. So we're here at the Regal Cinemas, I believe it is, the movie theater here in Kerrville. And just beyond where I'm standing is the Guadalupe River. Just beyond where I'm standing is the Guadalupe River. It's about 1,500 to 1,000 feet beyond where I am right here. But the just beyond all this brush lies the river, and this is the spot where the young boy from the Texas Monthly article was found washed up here alongside the river. There is a sense of loss in this community, absolutely is, and it's hard to do this ride without acknowledging that. I planned this Texas Hill Country ride way before the flooding happened, way before any of this was supposed to happen. So I'm not doing this because of the flooding. I want to be clear about that. This had been in the works well before all the flooding happened, but I wanted to take a moment while I was here to acknowledge this loss. I know I did a lot of reading about what's going on here, and while I'm not personally affected, me along with many people across the country, I know that our hearts go out to the people here in Kerrville. Our hearts go out to the families that had some sense of loss. And as such, I'm dedicating this video to the folks that lost something here in Kerrville. I'm not doing this to make light of anyone. I'm not doing this to bring glory or anything like that, or take advantage of anyone's loss. But I do want to acknowledge, like, I'm not doing this video in spite of. I want to acknowledge the loss and everything, and it's hard for me. I've had to take this video several times, and with young children, especially the two stories that really resonate, the one out of Camp Mystic, which deals with all the girls, and then the one with the young boy here, that stuff terrifies me as a father. It terrifies me because my children are about that age, and I can't imagine. I just can't imagine the loss that these folks are going through. But I think it's important, if I'm going to do this ride, to acknowledge that and to pay proper respects. So. After taking a moment to reflect and taking a moment to say a quick prayer right there by the river, it was time for me to load up and to continue my journey on towards the Three Twisted Sisters. Any trip to the Texas Hill Country would not be complete without a stop at the famous Frio Canyon motorcycle stop. Frio Canyon Motorcycle Stop is a neat little souvenir joint, as well as the Bent Rim Grill, which is a neat little restaurant that's nestled right there in Leakey, Texas. That's a great natural stop as you progress through the Three Twisted Sisters. Of course, I took the opportunity to go in, grab a few items, and to take a bathroom break before hopping back on the road.
It looks like it's the same material.
Cause I like that one, cause it fits soft, you know?
Microfiber fabric is what it says. 100% moisture wicking polyester microfiber, one size fits most, machine washable.
So just finished up over here at the Frio motorcycle stop. They got a pretty awesome grill down here, and they got plenty of merch. So of course, I got to pick up a patch. I mean, y'all know me at this point. So picked up a patch, got stuff for everybody, including myself. And so we'll finish up over here, get packed up, ready to go on the bike, and we'll head on out and see some more of the Three Twisted Sisters. After taking a moment to rest, rehydrate, and to get out of the sun for a moment, it was time for me to load up and head off to another South Central Texas legend. Howdy. Good, good. Good, good. It's a little wet out there.
Yeah, where'd you coming from?
Huh?
Where'd you come from?
I came from over in the three Twisted Sisters.
Yeah.
I got up this morning in Kerrville and then rode around there and then came this way and hit that storm system that come through here. So a little wet, but
Yeah, we were here when it hit, and we just waited 45 minutes or so.
smart,
To get out now.
very smart. If I was smart, I would have stopped at a gas station and done the same, but I'm not smart. So there we go.
Well, have a good rest of the day, buddy.
Hey, y'all too. After grabbing a few things from Luckenbach, I packed up and took the long way on a lazy ride back to the hotel. There wasn't a whole lot else to do today, so I kind of ended up spending the evening taking the long way back and just kind of relaxing around the hotel before the next leg of my great adventure. Up and out of this morning. I am getting ready to leave the hotel here in Kerrville. Let's see, make sure this is all, there we go. Making sure we're all packed up and everything. We're just doing another round in the hotel room, making sure we got everything out. We'll be heading from here to the Metroplex and make a stop along the way. I got something a little planned out. We'll see if it works out. All right, we'll see y'all on the road. All right, so there's dinosaur tracks down here somewhere, so let's go find them. So far, so good. Okay. So all this was a mud flat back in the day. You can kind of tell with all of the rock the way it is. But let's get up here. All right, that was fun and interesting. Let's see about getting across these rocks and back to the bike without dying. All right. Hello. Whoa. This one rocks.
Yes,
Good to know.
it's the only one that I think does, but yes.
Well, now I know.
Yes.
I think if you go across this bridge,
All right.
it says track.
That was fun. Now let's get back on the bike. We saw the dinosaur tracks.
If y'all cross over those rocks,
Let's get back on the bike and head out. Of course, no visit to anywhere would be complete without me stopping by to grab a couple souvenirs, things to take home, a couple shirts. So I stopped into the gift shop right there at Dinosaur Valley State Park to do that. Before long, I was back on the road, heading towards the Metroplex. As I made my way north, the breathtaking scenic vistas of the Texas Hill Country was slowly and gently replaced by a more sprawling urban environment, the world that is the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Heart-stopping curves and scenic vistas was slowly replaced by urban sprawl and traffic jams, as well as a good bit of road construction. Before long, my business in Dallas-Fort Worth was over, and I was headed back east, back towards home by way of Hot Springs, Arkansas. After a long day on the road, braving wind and rain and some of the more inclement conditions that I've encountered before, I decided to go into my cabin and check out my newfound home for the next couple of days. I had never stayed in a KOA cabin before, so this was my first experience ever in one. When I booked this room, I was thinking that I was going to get bare bones, basically 4 walls, a roof, and somewhere dry to lay my head. And I have to say that this little cabin did not disappoint. It was minimal, but that's all I was really needing for this adventure. I was soaked all the way to the bone and was ready to get some dry clothes on. What ended up happening the rest of the evening was a little bit of resting, a little bit of relaxing, and getting ready for another fun-filled day of riding ahead. All right, so here we are at the KOA campground. Got into the campground kind of late last night, got set up and all that. I'm in one of the cabins over here. Doesn't have a bathroom, but it's, you know, shelter and got air conditioning and all that. So this morning I'm going to head out to Hot Springs, check out Hot Springs, and then we're going to go out to Talimena and see if we can get up to Cooper Creek store on the pig trail before it's all said and done with, and then back here before too late this evening. This will be my last full day on the road sightseeing. Tomorrow's going to be a long burn home, but let's see what we can get done today. I'm pretty optimistic. There's a little bit of rain in the forecast. Rode through a little bit of rain. It's got a 30% chance today. I'm going to pack my rain gear just in case, but we'll see what we can get done. I'm optimistic, so you know, we'll see about getting some riding in. I did stop in downtown Hot Springs for a few minutes just to check out a few of the local sites. However, Hot Springs really wasn't my main objective that day, so after checking out a few of the local sites, I decided to hop on the road and make my way to Mena, the hopping off point for the famous Talimena Scenic Byway. After another beautiful ride in 54 miles, I made it to the west end of the Talimena Scenic Byway, ending up near Talimena, Oklahoma. I had to take a minute to stretch, get off the bike. I was a little stove up from the ride, but was nonetheless in good spirits. I had read about the visitor center on the west end of the Talimena Scenic Byway and thought that that was going to be a good place to stop, catch a breath, stretch, use the bathroom, etc. However, I found the West End Visitor Center to be in disrepair and obviously had been closed for a very long time. So with that, I just took a moment in the empty parking lot to reflect on the ride I had just taken and to rest and relax for just a moment before taking off on the next leg of my journey. I had been doing a lot of reading about what to do after I completed the Talimena Scenic Byway, and there was one general consensus about what I should do while I'm on that end of Oklahoma. Literally everything I read said that you absolutely have to stop by Chuck's Classic Cycles nearby. So I decided to load up, put that in the GPS, and ease on that direction.
You must be Chuck. Huh? You must be Chuck. I'm Chuck. I'm Calvin. How you doing, Calvin? I read everything online. I just got through riding Talimena. Yes.
Out of all of my motorcycle travels, Chuck has got to be one of the more interesting people that I have ever met on the road. If you're ever within the Tuskahoma, Oklahoma area, Chuck's Classic Cycles is a must-stop and see attraction. When I visited, Chuck mainly had his shop going and had shut down the bar and grill, but was in the process of trying to get it back open again. However, once I pulled up and got a lay of the land of what exactly was going on here at Chuck Cycles, it was obvious to me that Chuck is 100% a true biker. And the entire property over there was committed to providing great times for bikers, whether it be a place to stop and rest on the road, a place to go get your bike fixed. It was all in all a place that caters to bikers in every need that you may have on the road. Chuck quickly took me inside after getting to meet him and exchanging some pleasantries, and showed me what strikes me as one of the largest motorcycle collections and best kept motorcycle collections of a private, down-to-earth individual. I'm not talking about the rich, Jay Leno collector type folks, but I'm talking about an everyday guy showed me his collection, and he's got bikes from all different vintages, and each bike in his collection tells a unique story of how it ended up in this little unassuming shop in the middle of Oklahoma. After taking me on a quick tour of his shop, showing me all the bikes he had in his collection, as well as some of the bikes he's working on for other customers, and getting to meet some of the other folks that are around there, I sat down with Chuck and had a nice long conversation. We exchanged stories of the road. We exchanged stories of weird visitors. At some point in time, one of his other friends from locally came over to get a tire changed out, and we all ended up just talking for quite a long time about different experiences. I got to share with them some of my experiences back east, and we had a great time sitting in the shade on this hot Oklahoma morning. Before long, I was checking my watch, and it was time for me to go if I was going to make Cooper Creek store before it closed in the evening time. Although it pained me to do so, I had to get up and say my goodbyes so I could get on the road to my next destination, Cooper Creek store on the famous Arkansas Pig Trail. I wish I could have spent more time here to hang out with Chuck a little bit more and to hear more of the crazy stories he's got in his repertoire, but I can't stress enough. If you're ever out this way in the western Arkansas, eastern Oklahoma area, especially if you're riding the Talimena Scenic Byway, you have absolutely got to stop and see Chuck. He is absolutely a treasure, is widely known on TripAdvisor and other places near and far of his shop, and it's just an interesting place to stop off. After a couple hours of hard riding, I finally made it to Cooper Creek Store just before they were about to close. I was able to go in and pick up a couple of patches, the patches that I was after to commemorate my ride on the Talimena Scenic Byway, as well as the famous pig trail. After picking up a couple patches, it was time to resume the pig trail all the way to the bitter end. Having conquered the mighty pig trail, but not really having the time to go into any of the other twisty paths up in that area, I decided to go back down the pig trail and go back to the gas station that was beside the interstate to take a few moments to get off the saddle and to stretch my legs before heading back to my lodging for the evening, the KOA campground.
I can check on you.
Oh, thanks. You don't have an extra throttle cable, do you?
Oh, no. Sorry, man. I'm just passing through, dude.
Yeah, same with me.
Yeah, where are you coming out of?
I'm coming from California, but I'm heading to Nashville.
Oh, yeah. A little bit closer than that, but yeah, I ain't got that on me. But I saw you coming.
Yeah, no worries, man. I was just wondering if there was a local shop where I could find another cable. If you're not from around here, it's cool. I've got Google. I'll figure it out. I'll find something.
I was just saying, there's not one local here, but we also got over in Talimena over there, but that's way far away.
Yeah, I called the Yamaha place down in Fort Smith, and they don't have anything, so I'm going to try and see if there's something up like near Russellville. There might be. I know there's one down that way too. But I'm on a Yamaha. I'm not on a Harley. Yeah, I gotta get something. A cable. I could trim a cable.
Yeah.
But all right, I'll find something else. But yeah, take care, Roger.
After leaving our newfound motorcycle friend well in hand with the tow truck and not really being able to further help him, I set off for my campground down in Hot Springs, Arkansas. But what I did not realize at the time is that I was too far away from the campground to be able to make it before dark. So I was in for a thrilling ride down the Arkansas Highway 7 Scenic Byway, a twisty, curvy road that leads me straight back to Hot Springs. After many miles and many sights, at long last it was time to turn for home. I had been gone for 9 days, had crossed 5 states, and was going to cross one more on the way home, or at least go through an edge of it. I had seen many sights and had knocked off a couple of iconic motorcycle rides, but home was calling. I was missing my family mainly at this point and really just wanted to get home. So I was up before the dawn, packing the motorcycle, getting all my souvenirs and everything that I had bought along the way all packed up and ready to go. And before long, I was ready to hit the road for one final long push home. I had planned to make the entire run from Hot Springs, Arkansas back to Alexander City, Alabama all in one day. I knew it was going to be a lot of miles, but I was up for the challenge, and I had one stop built in along the way. After such a long journey, I decided that the best way to put a sweet ending on this trip was to stop by my local Indian dealership, Indian Motorcycle of Birmingham, aka Big Number 1 Motorsports, located in Birmingham, Alabama, in order to stop by and take a look at the offerings from Indian. I wanted to put my hands on Indian motorcycles one more time to get an idea of what type of motorcycle I would like to buy, because as of the making of this video, I still have not decided on which motorcycle is going to be my replacement for my Kawasaki Voyager, the steed that had taken me across this wonderful trip. After spending some time at the Indian dealership, I headed home, back to my family, whom I missed so very much. I had been on the road for about 10 days and was ready to finally be home. As I rode home, I reflected on the enormity of this trip. 2,800 miles, 4 iconic motorcycle rides, 5 different states. I had an opportunity to see millions-year-old dinosaur tracks and got to pay my respects for a national tragedy that had affected me so deeply. This trip across the Western South was nothing less than epic, and I cherished my ability to go out and see the sights that I had only read about until now. There's nothing like an epic motorcycle trip like this for you to step out of your normal day-to-day routine, to kind of get out into the world, to hit that reset button, and to take in the great American landscape and all it has to offer. If you're anything like me, you have a wandering soul, and being on a motorcycle is probably one of the best ways that I have found in order to scratch that itch. I hope you enjoyed me sharing this journey with you, and I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.